Hi everyone, my name is Kate, and today I'm going to talk about the effects of climate change in Russia. So, my thesis statement is the effects of climate change in Russia are the melting of permafrost, melting of ice in the Arctic, and the wildfires of Siberian forests, and possible ways in which to reduce or mitigate these effects include decreasing greenhouse gas emissions, increasing energy efficiency, increasing carbon prices, developing renewable energy and nuclear energy, and reducing deforestation and expanding protected areas. So the first I'm going to talk about melting of permafrost. So permafrost is a freezer for an organic matter which thaws or melts, and it's decomposed by microorganisms which emit methane and carbon dioxide. So what is under the cover of permafrost is really dangerous, and when permafrost melts, it's going to atmosphere and pollute the atmosphere. So I have two quotes. The first one is Russia has more than enough permafrost, 2/3 of the country. So 2/3 is a lot, right? Because Russia is a huge country. So if all permafrost melts, imagine how much methane and carbon dioxide will be released into the atmosphere. Um, my next quote is the more permafrost thaws, the higher the temperature and the more permafrost thaws. So it's the positive feedback loop. When the permafrost melts, it highs the temperature because of the greenhouse gas emissions released, and they warm the temperature, and because they warm the temperature, even more permafrost melts. So another effect of climate change is melting of the ice in the Arctic. An indicator of climate change towards global warming is the ice of the Arctic, one of the most vulnerable ecosystems on the planet. So I have a quote. Low ice threatens coastal communities because open water increases the distance of the wind and waves. Waves increase chances of erosion, winter flooding, and longer distances for hunters to find seals and walruses. So this quote portrays that um, ice is actually important for local communities uh, because if it melts, it's going to be dangerous. And also one important advantage of the ice in the Arctic is that it's fresh water. It's mainly the most important freshwater resource we have, and if it melts, um, a lot of people will have no fresh water, so we will not be able to survive. So the last but not least effect of climate change is wildfires of Siberian forest. Usually we had some wildfires, but in 2019 it was a catastrophe because even clouds of smoke came to a lot of cities in Asian part of Russia where people lived. They couldn't really breathe, um, and it finally aroused attention to people and showed that climate change is here and it causes such disasters. So after this huge fire, government finally started to do something. So I have one quote. So far this year, a total of 8.3 million hectares of forest has burned out in Russia. That roughly equals the area of Austria. So can you imagine how huge this area that is equals a country? So by that we can see those vast territories are on fire and huge amounts of oxygen produced by the trees will never be released into the atmosphere in such quantities as before. So the fire is dangerous because trees keep carbon dioxide inside and they produce oxygen. So if there is no trees, there is no oxygen, we cannot survive. So the solutions are Russia is going to take little steps um, like limiting greenhouse gas emissions. Also, Russia will slow down the growth of average annual temperature. Um, Also, Russia is planning increasing energy efficiency, increasing carbon prices, developing renewable energy and nuclear energy, reducing deforestation and expanding protected areas. In 2019, Russia finally ratified the Paris Agreement. Um, After the 3 years of thinking, they finally ratified it, and it means that Russia will also help in creation of fund through which rich countries will help the poor switch to cleaner forms of energy. And another Russian way to deal with climate change is a bit unusual, but it's plan of adaptation. So the Russian government saying that we will take advantages from the global warming. And there is one quote: possible positive effects are decreased energy use in cold regions, expanding agriculture areas, and navigational opportunities in Arctic Ocean. So if temperature gets warmer, the cold regions of Russia will not need use energy to heat their places where they live. Also, because of the warmer weather, it's better to grow crops, so they will expand agriculture areas. And because of warmer temperature, the Arctic Ocean ice in there will melt, so they will have navigational opportunities to transport. So in conclusion, I want to say that Russia is one of the countries that is affected the most by global warming. And to be more precise, all 2/3 of the vast country is covered by permafrost, which melts and causes the damage to local residents, the atmosphere, and the whole planet in general because of greenhouse gases emissions also released. In 2019, the largest wildfire in Siberia occurred, the smoke of which reached even inhabited areas. And moreover, soon all the ice in the Arctic will melt, and one of the largest freshwater resources will no longer be on this planet. So Russia is taking small steps, such as ratifying the Paris Agreement, reducing carbon dioxide emissions, conserving and protecting forests, and switching to renewable energy. So if those efforts are made, Russia will be able to be a part of those who fight with the global warming, rather who cause it. So these are my references pages, and thank you for listening.